Opposition, Steve Miller. Okay, opposition. John Brizdle. Okay, please come forward. What's your name?
Thank you very much. My name is John Brizdle, Chair Takuda, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I'm here to strongly oppose any increase in the GT surcharge tax. I'm on the record as being opposed to this project because the city has not been transparent in their dealings with the public and the council and the state for 10 years. I want to remind you that 10 years ago, Mayor Hanneman created an interesting precedent. He shortened the project to match the budget. And I'm here to ask you to do the same thing today. We had a 23-mile rail. We had about $3 billion. We quickly ran out of money, and a decision was made to start between the Campbell lands and the lands that would be Ho'opili. You have my testimony in front of you, and in summary, I've pointed out numerous instances where the city and county have not been transparent. They've proven to be intentionally misleading in the information they give all of us. I've also included in my testimony that we've now paid this tax for 10 years, and the only independent person who's really looked at that is Tom Yamachika in the audience. And if you look on his website, or last Wednesday, there was a good article on KHON2. His estimate is that because this is an excise tax, we're paying $200 per person. And his estimate is after what the visitors pay. This has never been discussed in public, as far as I know. We've never had a good review. What is my skin in the game? I'm a senior citizen. Tom's telling me that I've paid $2,000. My wife's paid $2,000. We paid $4,000. You've collected $2 billion. The project's going to be $8 billion. So I'm going to have to pay, my wife and I have to pay that $4,000 3 times more. Is everybody clear on that? Do we agree with Tom's numbers? Can you look at your constituents and say you're going to pay a family of 4 is going to be $800 for the next forever? For what? We need to know what I want to know, and I want you to know, and I'd like to open a discussion on what is our skin in the game as taxpayers. There's confusion. This is not a sales tax. One of the misleading comments comes from the HART website. They'd like you to believe it's a sales tax. It's an intentionally misleading, dishonest statement. Finally, here's the good news, or here's more bad news. So as a businessman and a person with 20 years in transportation, I can find very little value in the transit portion of this project. I mean, it's not high capacity, it's not fast. The ridership numbers are pure guesstimates. There's no basis for any of the ridership numbers. And I've watched this for 10 years, and I'd be happy to take your questions. But the good news is, we're all in this for the TOD. We all see this livable, communities, walking, etc. And what do TODs need? The good news is they don't need rail. So if we just open up the discussion a little bit, we want those pearls on the string going across the island. We want future couples to maybe be more transit-oriented and less car-oriented. I think we're all in that boat. Well, the good news is you can build transit-oriented development around light rail. You can build transit-oriented development around a bus, or a bus stop, or a bus station. On the mainland, they call it BTOD, bus transit-oriented development. So we could stop this project at Middle Street, and all that talk about development in Ala Moana could be around a bus station. It works. Now here's the key. Let's go down that road a little bit. Pretend you, perhaps our children, want to live in this new community. The goal is that they'll be more transit-oriented and less car-oriented. So the rules of transit-oriented development say you need quality transit. Well, what does that mean? So here's an example. Right now, if we're in station number 2, and we're at the University of Hawaii, and we're going to go University of West Oahu, and we're going to go to the University of Manoa using rail, right? We're going to ride on rail at 28 miles an hour. That's how fast rail operates. It's not ever written, but if you do the math, 20 miles in 42 minutes, you'll figure it out. Then they get off at Ala Moana, then they get on a bus and they go to the university. That'll take an hour. But what if those people got on a bus in West Oahu and they went on this guideway at 60 miles an hour? And then the bus gets off at Middle Street and they get on the freeway and they go up to Sinclair Library. It'll take half the time. Now my point is this. If we're all in the transit-oriented development boat, and we're thinking about us and our families, et cetera, what's the most important thing about the transit part of transit-oriented development? We understand the development part, we understand the housing. It's travel time, right? Anybody who's interested in making a switch is going to ask about how many minutes does it take. And unfortunately, this program that we have is incredibly slow. Now, 10 years ago, this program was introduced by Mufi Hanneman and Elisa Yadao in that beautiful building next to Honolulu Hale in June of 2006. Some of you might have been there. I went to that meeting because of my transportation background. And I said, well, how fast does this go? And the engineers from Parsons Brinckerhoff looked me in the eye and said, it averages 23 miles an hour. And I said, time out, you have a problem here. Who's going to get out of your car to go that slow? And I went to the people there representing the city at that time, and they said, well, we'd like to have express trains, but it's way too expensive. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. If at this point you call for a timeout and you say to the city, we can't trust what you're saying, it's way too expensive, we don't see the value in what you're doing, come back next year, talk to the new FTA administrators, and do an honest alternatives, starting with what we call the dual power system, which is the trains that can run above grade and at grade, and also converting the guideway to have guided buses. Because what's best for transit-oriented development is quality transit, and quality transit means less travel time. And I think we could do that, and we don't need to spend any more money. So I encourage you to take a time out. I encourage you to throw this back in the city's lap. I encourage you to just tell them to go forward with the money they have. But before we extend this tax, we need a 2017 honest look at the alternatives. There's one alternative that's before you, and Randy Roth has put the bus alternative before you. We've put the bus alternative before you for 10 years. This is a good time to take a look at it. And we can have what we want, which is quality transit-oriented development. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.